Let's go to chat and wait for Doreen to enter.
Doreen, where are you?
Da 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 da. Waiting for Doreen to come in from Tampa Bay, and she will be here in a minute.
Wait a minute. I think that's a Gen X thing because I do that all the time where I take old songs and turn the words around, and I'm like thinking I'm like some like rapper kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, no, we all do it.
I do it with Bodie. I change the words of the song to rhyme with his name.
It's fun
all the time.
Yep. Bodie, Bodie, banana,
Yeah,
fat, Bodie. Oh, look at you, Brenda Teachman knocking Doreen out of first place. Gotta hope she's okay. Hope nothing's wrong. Holy moly, gamoly. Do people still say holy moly? I say holy moly a lot.
I do. Yeah.
What is moly?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Hey, Ryan, Doreen, Doreen, we're not mad. We want to let you know we're not mad. We're not angry.
It's the bronze medal. It's okay.
We're just disappointed. Good to see you. What's going on? It'll be all righty. Kevin, FIFA allowed Argentina to lose. Ryan, hello. Room is filling up fast. Good evening, Sonia. Y'all look great. I'll take that.
I'll take it.
I'm repping my Cubbies today. Still in second place, about 6 games out of first. Yes, and I'm happy to be back in my studio. I did not like being on the road. I mean, I like it, but it's like you get used to your stuff. I like my stuff, my mic, my camera, my stuff.
Your background.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody to today's episode of the Three View Mirror, your weekly dose of all things nostalgia, where we move ahead in time, talking about the present, all the while looking back into our Three View Mirror to see what brought us here. A game show, a podcast, a lot of fun, where one of the three of us takes hosting duties every week and brings 3 topics relevant to the 70s, the 80s, and or the 90s. And we discuss each topic for about 15 minutes before coming to the end where the game part of the show comes into play. See, the host every week has a secret connection, something that the 3 topics have in common. And it's up to the other 2 hosts and our live studio audience to try and figure out what that connection is. Now, today I'm the host and I'm joined with 2 of my best friends in the world. Guys, why don't you say hello?
Well, technically, I'm supposed to be the host today. John asked me to swap, and I graciously said, why, of course, after I bitched a little. Okay. But anyway, no, John, I had my topics this week, and they were so good that I cannot wait until next week to give them all to you. I will not shell it. So you better not shell it if you're taking my place.
I don't think I'm going to shell it. Hey, Chris.
I'm Chris Clues, keynote speaker and author that focuses on the work and life lessons that we can learn from 80s pop culture. You got my books all over the place, including Amazon, and maybe in a city near you. I'll be in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, in Atlantic City, and Tampa Bay coming up.
Nice.
Nice.
And if you didn't catch on to my description, read carefully because the intro will tell you how the game is played. This is the Three View Mirror podcast. No, this is.
You can't see us dancing. Our heads bobbing.
I'm not sure they could ever see us. I think they could hear us. I think that might have been enough. What's going on, Wenjo? Good to see you, Kristen. What's going on, Boston Bill?
Thanks, Kevin, for the compliment. I appreciate it.
And can I say something too? Some people said they were glad to see me here because I know John sent out a message. I did have a death in the family. Thought that there would be a funeral this evening. I canceled, but then it's gotten moved. So here I am. So yeah, and thank you for all the well wishes for people. John said that they had come through, and I appreciate you.
Well, you know, we send our love, and that's part of the aging process, right? As we get older, so do the people around us. So yeah. God bless. May his memory be eternal and forever on your lips. So today I've got 3 topics. Pretty broad. First one is going to be celebrity teens. Those teenagers that were in Tiger Beat, Teen Beat, on television all the time, whether it was music that made them famous or television, movies, whatever brought it, it was those sometimes misbehaving teens we either wish we had or were. back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Second topic is MTV videos. So the videos we remember from MTV, how they changed everything. And then finally, the mall scene back in the 80s and what the mall meant to a lot of us former mall rats. Mm-hmm. So teen celebrities, music videos, and mall rats. Not the movie, us. What do you think?
Awesome. I like it.
So I figure we can start it off.
And I'm going to write it down because I think I have it.
You think you got it? All right.
Already?
I'm going to write it down. I mean, I'm probably wrong, but listen, I'm just going to say I'm writing it down. It's 7:06. So.
Dude, that may be a record.
Yeah, that's pretty. I don't have a clue.
No offense, but employers are looking at you and thinking that you know so much you won't be happy in certain positions. Yeah, that's an MTV thing. I mean, that's a Gen X thing for sure. Mm-hmm. All right. Somebody already said Scott Baio. I mean, there were so many for us guys, for the girls. Dude, it was amazing. And I'm looking, I don't see that world. And so I was at Fanboy Expo in where was I? Knoxville. And I was talking to Todd Bridges, and he gave me the idea for this. They all grew up together. He was hanging out with Christopher Atkins, with the Facts of Life girls, with Scott Baio, with the Happy Days crew. They all, Ralph Macchio, they all knew each other. They all partied together. They all hung out together. It was totally cool. Who do you remember?
My first crush was Christy McNichol. And she was in those, she wasn't quite like in those magazines all the time, but I do remember seeing her in like Teen Beat, I think, maybe.
David Cassidy.
Oh, yeah.
River Phoenix.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, River Phoenix was that for me was a big one. Menudo seemed to always be on the covers of these magazines.
Dude, and Menudo wasn't allowed to get older. They literally aged out. It was I don't even want to use the word, but it was like a dream for certain deviants because they were forever young. I think that's so wrong, but I get the concept.
Leif Garrett. Oh my God.
Oh, somebody mentioned Soleil Moon Frye.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She was a part of that.
Somebody else came to. Oh, Alyssa Milano.
Oh, yes. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge, Alyssa Milano. Big first crush for a lot of people. Sean Cassidy, first crush for a lot of Xers at a very young age.
The cast of Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, 90s kids, late 80s kids, without a doubt. And they were so the cool thing about them is they were our contemporaries, right? 90210. 90210 brought like a Beatlemania fever. I got to talk to Gabrielle Carteris, who played Andrea, and she goes, their lives were nearly threatened by well-intentioned fans that nearly ripped them apart. We idolize these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there were, also there was almost like I remember my wall having cutouts of Teen Beat and Tiger Beat till I was about 14, and then it shifted to like Heather Thomas and Heather Locklear and Samantha Fox. Like I kind of grew up with what I appreciated, I guess. But before that, it was a lot of the girls in the sitcoms. I mean, we talk about how the sitcoms were so huge. Back then,
The Outsiders,
of course,
like Macchio, and I don't know if Cruise would have been. Tom Cruise
never seemed to be a kid. He was an adult living in a young man's body because he didn't have that same vibe. Like the other ones, we felt like if we had run into them in our neighborhood, we could kind of hang out. Cruise was never that guy.
No, he wasn't. Somebody mentioned
there was also some people that like you don't like. They only had to be famous for one movie or one show, and they were in those magazines. Like a guy like Chris Makepeace, who was in My Bodyguard and I think Meatballs, and that was it. Like they didn't need much to actually get into what they were. It was almost like maybe they were promoting movies and shows through those magazines. Yeah, Patrick Swayze for me, for sure. Absolutely. I'm unafraid to admit it.
Nothing wrong with a good man crush. I've had a few in my life.
Christina Applegate was definitely one of them. David Faustino, I don't know that he made Teen Beat as much, the brother, but he probably did a couple of times. But
I'm sure they all did. Like they, it didn't really, they didn't really discriminate. I mean, the cover obviously had somebody who was pretty.
There was always someone for someone, though. For some girls, it was the nerdy boy. It was the ducky instead of... There was somebody for somebody. The fame itself made them attractive. I mean, Corey Feldman got action. And I'm not slamming Corey Feldman, but...
Blossom and what was Joey's name?
When Corey Feldman gets play, you know that celebrity has a little bit to do with it. Bette Midler for John.
Well, somebody said Corey Haim, right? I mean,
Corey Haim was pretty.
Yeah, the other Corey was always in those magazines. Yes. I remember because my sister had his cutouts.
He was pretty. Very good looking boy. River Phoenix was pretty. And then there was like New Kids on the Block came on the scene and brought that whole pretty boy band. And every single girl, that was a huge example of someone for everybody. Every girl had their favorite New Kid. Every girl had their favorite Backstreet Boy. I don't know that us guys had our favorite Spice Girl, although I personally was fairly fond of Posh myself and Ginger.
I'm a Mel B. I was Mel B.
So maybe we were.
Also, somebody mentioned New Edition earlier, which is another one.
Yes.
New Edition, they were young. They were definitely in those magazines. Any of those, like, kind of the original kind of boy bands in the 80s, they all ended up in the Tiger Beats and Teen Beats.
And what's crazy is we always projected ourselves into the future with those. As soon as, like you mentioned, like going from the Christy McNichol and the younger girls to the Samantha Fox, but I'm sure there were always like 10 years. I remember in like grade school liking the 17 and 18-year-old girls, and by the time I hit middle school, I was all about Farrah Fawcett and Cheryl Ladd. I was way ahead of myself. And that's what Linda just said. Basically the exact same thing. Always had crushes on grown men. We projected ourselves into the future. We didn't like the other kids as much.
Yeah, boys, like at that age, like Tiger Beat age, I would have thought boys were fairly stupid. You know what I mean? Like, look at him. He's doing, I need a man, like, yeah, that's how us girls dreamed of things.
But they didn't have to be. The interesting thing is we look back and we think about like how those magazines, your first thought is like all of the pretty people, but it wasn't just that. Like if you remember those magazines, like I said before, like you just had to be in a movie or on a TV show and be younger, and they were going to find a space for you in those magazines. You're not going to have the cover, but you're going to be in those magazines because the cover sells. I mean, obviously, like a kid, whether it was a girl or a boy, and seeing the cover and saying, "Oh, I got to have that because so and so's in there," and so the parents.
But it's frightening looking back with what we know today, the way those magazines were laid out. Young 14, 15-year-olds with their shirts open. I mean, what the hell? I mean, it was crazy, but it was they don't do that anymore.
No.
Probably rightly so, but I always wonder what they think about it now. Like Christopher Atkins, I think we asked him that question. What does it feel like now as an adult looking back and seeing all that beefcake, at 15, 16? Although he came on the scene a little later. He was 21 when he did Blue Lagoon, I think. So, and that was his first job ever acting. What would today's equivalent of Tiger Beat be? I don't think there is.
I don't either. I mean, magazines themselves are gone.
The internet.
But even online, I think it would be abused. I think it's not something that can exist.
No.
The internet is Tiger Beat and Teen Beat now. I mean, that's, you just type in a name and you've got 1,000 images at your fingertips.
Yeah. Donnie and Marie. I'd forgotten how young Marie was when she started that. She was only like 16.
Oh, wow.
She was a child.
Yeah. Drew Barrymore, speaking of child, she would have made one of those covers, because she was very, very famous at the time. And I'm trying to think, like, I don't recall a lot of covers. I recall looking at the magazines and such. They seem like we're mentioning all the pop stars, the pop music, shows, TV, movies, but it seemed like rock and roll didn't make it into Tiger Beat. Was that true? Because
I don't think you could be a huge rocker. Hey, David Worley, could you be a huge rocker and be 16 years old?
Oh, I guess it's a teen thing. Then yeah, I guess you're right. You're right.
Tiger Beat though, like I think there were. I mean, it depends on the band because you have to be careful about your reputation. So the best example of that is Billy Squier after he did that video of him dancing around in some pink like unitard or whatever it was, and then he like literally disappeared, and he was awesome. So I think they like managed their brand. I think somebody like John Bon Jovi was probably in these magazines. I bet
he was.
But maybe not, obviously not like a Metallica. Like they're not going to go that direction. They're going to go towards like somebody mentioned earlier, they liked Fangora, which I liked too, which was like a kind of like a horror gore magazine with all like the special effects from the horror movies, American Werewolf in London and stuff like that. They may go in that direction. So it really depended. But yeah, I think they had, somebody mentioned Rock Me. I bet you David Coverdale was in there.
Circus is the magazine. Digital Rancher says he couldn't wait to see pictures of the Rockers in Circus magazine. So a little different pivot, probably a little older. But the thing about these young people, they were absolutely produced. They very rarely seemed to come up. They were either young people in a dynasty like a Drew Barrymore that came along because of family connections, or they were discovered and produced and curated, and they hung out together and they put them in their little spots and little boxes, and they were a money-making machine for the industry. And a lot of them suffered for it.
They had no protections, not like today. There were even today, like, I mean, you think about like a Justin Bieber, and that wasn't too long ago where he was a kid basically being discovered. And even then he got screwed up. So you can imagine what it was like in the 80s with some of these kids, and, their parents took the money or they didn't get any money from the producers. And we never knew because we were just watching the shows or listening to the music or reading the Tiger Beat and thinking they had the best life ever, but who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm getting to it's not what it looked like. Outside looking in, I remember being envious, thinking how life must be perfect for them, not realizing the work they put into it and the sacrifices they made in order to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bo and Luke, by the way.
Bo and Luke. Yeah. Luke lied. John Schneider lied about his age in order to get on that show. I think it's so crazy. Both Andrea Zuckerman, she lied about her age. Gabrielle Cartera saying she was younger than she was. John Schneider lied. I think he was only 16. He wasn't old enough to be on the show. But back then, I guess you could. There's no computer background check.
Well, they looked the other way, too.
And they looked the other way.
Jackson did that with Apocalypse Now. I'm pretty sure. He wasn't old enough to be, he was supposed to be under like the child labor law hours. And I'm pretty sure it was him that lied about his age, and hey, paid off.
Crazy.
It worked.
All right. Well, we're at 18 minutes past the hour. We try to keep these going quickly. So we talk about each topic for about 15 minutes, keep you guys engaged, keep it going, and then move on. So topic number 2, dude, remember when MTV played videos? And I didn't want to broach the broader MTV world. This is about the videos we watched over and over again, and some of them changed everything. Mm-hmm. What do you remember?
They changed pop culture because, I mean, you went to elementary school, middle school doing the Thriller dance. You went, doing, taking your dress and going like Cyndi Lauper with your dress. I don't know, John, but it changed. You couldn't wait to see, and I think of Thriller all the time as like the star movie / it was like 18 minutes long. You wanted to see the long version, but then sometimes you wanted to see the short version, and these videos, some of them in the early days played over and over again to the point where not only did you memorize the words, you knew the scenes. They were like a mini movie, and I missed that portion of living the music. So I think MTV helped you to live the music and in all of your senses. And I love that. It got you moving, it got you visual, got you in the feels, got you singing.
It also, somebody mentioned a couple of the shows. Like, I mean, I remember vividly videos like Hot for Teacher and California Girls. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was right around the time that I was shifting from the Teen Beat, Tiger Beat stuff to the posters on my bedroom wall. So it would make sense that I remember those. But also the shows. People mentioned 120 Minutes and Yo MTV Raps, and we were getting introduced to music that you may have never heard before, or you may have never been interested in, and suddenly, like, you learn about Depeche Mode and the Smiths and the Cure, which you weren't going to necessarily hear on the radio, and you're learning through 120 Minutes. So not only were the videos great, but we got exposed to a lot of music that shifted, our lives as kids and as teenagers and adolescents, the stuff that we appreciated.
And I did a video like that at one point where I basically said that was our generation. I think one of the reasons that we love so much music from all different genres. You may not be a country person. Well, country really wasn't played on MTV, but you might not have been a hip hop person or a heavy metal person, but you heard some of this in between the videos you were waiting for. So you had to sit through something where, like Depeche Mode, where that you might not have been a Depeche Mode person, but you sat through it and you were like, I love this. I got to liking it. And I think that's one of the beauties of not dialing into one genre of radio station.
What I loved was the interpretation of the song and the things they did. So again, I had an amazing weekend. I'm going to keep referencing it just because I never thought I'd be able to talk to some of these people. I got to talk to Stephen Pearcy, who was the guitarist and lead singer of Rat, and he was talking about the Round and Round music video with Milton Berle in it.
Yeah.
And that what was cool was you would have these music videos with contemporaries, and Michael Jackson would bring in Vincent Price. Rat would bring in Milton Berle. Rodney Dangerfield might show up. You didn't know what was going to be on that first 2 or 3 minutes or popping up in the music video. It was completely unhinged. And it was the visuals, to Shell's point, were as entertaining as the music itself. You had videos, not just Thriller. Michael Jackson's Black and White.
Yeah, that was really
Ha's Take on Me changed the way we saw things.
Well, was it Black and White or Man in the Mirror, where they literally just shift people?
Black and White.
That is crazy that was like however many years ago. That was unbelievable.
I just looked it up. That was 1991. Today, that's a TikTok filter. But what it took to do that back then was ridiculous.
And you go back and you watch it now, you can't tell.
No.
Like, it's incredible what they did. Somebody also reminded us, do you know what else was on MTV? Fire!
I hate you. You got the connection. I've got Beavis and Butthead as today's connection.
Yeah, right.
The Great Cornholio.
Yeah.
No, but
Sledgehammer, another huge video that changed everything. And at the end of Black and White, a lot of people don't remember. Michael Jackson had to trim that video, and he apologized because at the end, a lot of people don't remember this. It only aired in its entirety a couple times. But when the video's over that had this positive message, he starts climbing on a car filled with racist epithet. It starts smashing it, and it's like this super violent end to the video. And it was controversial. A lot of videos were controversial. Pepsi could only air Like a Prayer that they paid millions of dollars for like once.
Yeah. I love that song, by the way.
So do I.
And I was thinking too of the Robert Palmer Girls, They're iconic. Nobody can look at a slick back black dress with a guitar and a dead look on your face. And
just that.
That's all they did.
That's all they did.
Looking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just the stories that were told through the videos too. Like, I think that was pretty awesome as well. Like, some of the videos, they just might have been a live performance, or it might have been a super simple thing that they were doing because the artists, that's all they really want to do. You could tell the artists that were really into videos, the ones that understood and got it in terms of their brand and what it could do for their marketing. And then you saw the ones who just didn't embrace it as much. And
that's what we've fallen back to now. If you look at Vivio, what's it called? If you look at any of the videos of current songs, it's almost always just them singing. It's live performance. Yeah. The creativity, the production value, the storyboarding out and letting somebody take the music and here, do something with this, and really releasing that. I mean, was it Aerosmith that brought in tons of actors? Alicia Silverstone was in a bunch. You just never knew who was going to show up in a video. Janet Jackson had Antonio Sabato Jr. He started in her video. I miss it so much.
What's her face? Bruce Springsteen,
Yeah. Do you know that story?
Courtney Cox?
Yeah.
I did at one point. I've forgotten it.
She got hired to do that. They picked her out. They told him to look at, he didn't know she was an actress. He thought she was just the person he was supposed to bring up. She knew she was going to be brought up. He just thought he was bringing some girl up, supposedly, because they wanted the interaction to be genuine. And it was.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned the Weird Al videos earlier. Like, those were all so much fun. Like, I looked forward to those because you just didn't know what you were going to get. And then once you saw it, you wanted to see it again because they were fun. Mm-hmm. And there was like a handful of movie directors that actually got their start with music videos. I knew there was a couple, so I just went to look it up. But David Fincher, you know him from like Fight Club and Seven, and Spike Jonze. Antoine Fuqua, who's one of my favorite directors, who did Training Day and a ton of movies. But that's the interesting thing. Like, it was a springboard for really creative people on the directing side and the composing side. I'm sure on the back end, like the editing side, some of those editors went on to probably do really incredible movies. So it was an awesome art form. And I'm really sad that it went away and that 16 and Pregnant, The Jersey Shore, and all that garbage took over MTV.
Yeah. Well, and the MTV still plays videos. They had Classic MTV as a channel that played videos. It's not enough to just play our old videos. I can go to YouTube for that. It's the fact that the entire industry, that segment of pop culture, was allowed to die, and I'm not sure why. We're the only generation, maybe older millennials, maybe some young boomers, but we've said it before. We see the movie, the music. You cannot hear Take On Me by Aha and not see the animated graphics. It's impossible.
Yeah. And there were even bands that, like, I love, that people, they attached themselves to a song from that. They didn't know who the band was. And then suddenly they had a music video. And then they started exploring their music because they weren't mainstream. Like, I'll give you one. Faith No More is one of my favorite bands of all time. Mm-hmm. And they had a song called Epic. And it was the video where the goldfish is out of the bowl and it's like flopping on the...
Oh, I remember that.
Right? Their music is incredible, but they were not mainstream at all. That song introduced them to people who probably like took a listen to a little bit more of their music and may have found it interesting as well. It was an outlet for some of these bands that, were either up and coming or were just outside of the mainstream. And MTV wasn't just the top 20, which is what I really liked.
And I was thinking, like you said, about those I remember 9 Inch Nails, I Wanna You Like an Animal, that video. Very creepy, very
You want to what?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
You want to what, Shell?
This is a public channel.
The one lyric I actually got. The rest of them I brutalized. That one I knew. So I think Kevin Ramsey said that, MTV was dead long before they started taking some of their channels off the air. And MTV is still on the air. They just took off their ancillary channels. But they were allowed, to your point, Chris, it wasn't murder, it was suicide, because they went to all this reality television stuff, purposely diminishing. Just stop calling it MTV. It's not music television anymore. If there's not a place for MTV, that's fine. Things change. Let it die and be RTV, be reality television. That's fine, but just be true to what you are.
If I raise a little a thing here, part of me thinks that, like you said, it wasn't murder, it was suicide. I think after we got out of the 70s, the 80s, heading into the early portion of the 90s, it was like after that in the 90s, at least for me in my life, boom, everything started going faster. Everything started being rush. And we didn't have the time to sit down and watch all this stuff anymore. We weren't waiting around for the next video. It's like we slowly started losing patience to the point where now even I find myself, 2 seconds of a video, scroll, and I think we've been trained from early on to not have that patience to sit and listen to that stuff. And that's why they're always talking about hook your audience. You got to say something in the first 2 seconds. And that's why we all lost it.
They jumped the shark a little too. I think they just, I mean, I think you would look back and you would say that there were some creative people within MTV that, as John said, they committed suicide. They made mistakes. They should have continued to stick with the core of what they had. And I don't know if they'd still be around today in the same form, but they would have lasted a little bit longer. I mean, I look at these comments, and by the way, I love that there's a ton of Faith No More fans in our audience because that makes me happy. But also, Kevin mentioned Tanya Katane, Whitesnake. Like, we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah.
It was like game changing for a lot of us.
Yeah.
They just, I don't know, like they didn't do it on purpose, obviously, but man, they had something really, really good. And, would bands still be pumping out these really cool music videos today if they wouldn't have gone away from that format?
Record Out says none of you would be able to listen to a whole album anymore. I get Shell's point, but I will take I will disagree with you respectfully. I love putting on an entire album and just sitting back, and especially there's certain albums that are structured in such a way that they tell a story beginning to end. We can still do that. I think we can, and I think a lot of us still do.
I agree. I think it's society as a general whole. Can we still pull out those things? I absolutely agree. But a society as a general whole has a very low attention span, it seems, anymore.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But think about some of these. I was just, as you guys were talking, I was thinking about, again, going back to some of these videos and these bands that were so weird, and they took advantage of MTV and became huge. I think of like Devo. I mean, man, come on. Like, remember that? Do you remember the video?
The red.
So weird, but look, it just worked for those guys, and their music got introduced to a huge amount of, and I do think that we can thank MTV for a lot of our one-hit wonders.
Oh, without a doubt.
That video, if it was a good video with a good
without a doubt.
Bam, it was it.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Well, we're at 31 minutes and 40 seconds. Again, moving us along to keep us on pace. It's kind of what the show is like. If you're joining us the first time or in replay, we try not to overkill, but if you love a topic, don't worry. The 80s, 90s, and 70s don't go away completely. We often bring them back and talk about the other side of things. Last call on music video.
Great.
I wish we still had it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And it's not that we don't just have MTV. We don't have music videos.
I want my MTV.
Yeah, I want my MTV. And I want bands to commit to making mini movies about their music again.
Yeah.
I want my MTV.
Yep.
And then finally, third topic for today, we've talked about young celebrities, teenage celebrities. We've just talked about music videos. Next up, the mall scene in the 80s. What it was like growing up in the 80s, what we could expect to see, what we could expect to find, spending the day at the mall.
A brown McDonald's. They were all brown.
Whoa, what?
All the walls. If they had brown, they were brown. They had some bright colors here, some bright colors.
I never had a McDonald's in my mall.
Me neither.
No. Oh, you didn't? We had a
McDonald's. There was never a McDonald's in the food court. Sometimes a Burger King, weirdly enough, but never a McDonald's.
Oh, but you remember back the old school McDonald's with the red roof, and there was a few colors and stuff, but they had the brown floors and the brown, with a few pops of color. And then we went bright colors, and now they're all back to boring again. But
I spent my time in the arcade.
Yes.
I just went into the couch cushions and tried to scramble up like 5 or 6 quarters, and then I made them last as long as possible at the mall arcade. And I was just watching Fast Times the other night again, and that one just brings back the whole mall. Obviously, they work in the mall, so you get this like great shot of the mall, and it reminds you of how awesome it was.
Penny Hartley says, she lived in the country and went to the mall once a year. I lived in the sticks, too. It was a good 45 minutes to an hour to get to a mall, but that made it all the more special. If we could find somebody that would give us a ride out, and then we definitely spent the entire day there. We had a timeout in our mall. That was the name of our arcade, Wenjo.
Yeah, ours was oh God,
Aladdin's Castle.
Yeah, ours was Space something. Space something.
Tilt's a good name, dude. I just remember the mall having its own culture. We would go as kids. We had money in our pockets, not because our parents gave it to us, but because a lot of us worked. We were sold to in a big way, probably the first teenagers that were really marketed like directly right into our brains, whether it came the clothes, the records. You'd go to Chess King or Tops and Bottoms or Merry-Go-Round. Then you'd hit the record store. Then you'd hit the food court. Then you'd hit the arcade. Maybe you even had a roller rink at your mall or a movie theater. It was an all-day event. Bands, concerts, musicians in the 80s coming out and going through the malls as their introduction, like YouTube is today.
I remember in the record stores, the sounds of looking through the posters, clack, clack, clack. And the same thing with the cassettes that had the big safety thing on them.
Yeah.
Clack, 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 clack.
Yeah.
And that was like I think back now, I miss that. I really miss that.
Digital Rancher, Dragon's Lair. I agree. I was stuck on 50,
at it.
That was 50 cents. That was 2 quarters, but I didn't care. I have Dragon's Lair in my house now because I love Dragon's Lair so much. I think that, you were going back to all the different types of stores, John, and you had like the Walden Books is one that somebody mentioned, where you could get your truly tasteless joke books. And you're right. Like they were marketing to us. My first job was not my first job. My first job was.
Oh, I would have loved to work at a mall.
But I worked at a wave dancer surf shop, putting together skateboards and repairing and fixing and putting together skateboards.
Oh, I would have killed people if I did that. I have no skill for that. That would have been a very bad job for me. But it was a dream to have one of those quarter things on my belt and just go around and making change. That guy was the coolest dude at the mall. Him and the Orange Julius guy. Damn.
That
I needed
guy
that
doing
job.
the quarters was the same guy that was driving the ice cream truck. He probably wasn't very safe.
Don't remember Dynasty House, Jebediah. At least I don't. Piercing Pagoda. I remember that. Sam Goody.
Dig Dug, yes.
I love Dig Dug. No, somebody said a Piercing Pagoda, like untrained teens using like a gun to get a needle through your ear, like for small children, and that was their job. And somebody mentioned KB Toys, and that was back when KB Toys had toys out of the package and functioning in different little segments of the store. So you actually walked in there, even though you weren't a kid anymore. You walked in there to see what was jumping around in these little boxes.
And then there was the store that like had all the electronics that I don't know anyone that ever bought anything, but we sat in the massage chair. We looked at the gadgets. Everything was overpriced. What was that store? Nobody that I know ever bought anything there. Brookstone. Did anybody ever buy anything at Brookstone?
Sharper Image was another one.
Yes.
Way too expensive.
Way too expensive.
Budgets, but they weren't for us. I mean, that was for a different set of people that were also coming to the mall because everybody went to the mall. It didn't matter your socioeconomic status. Everyone was at the mall. There was something for everyone. Some people shopped there on a consistent basis. Others of us only got to shop there once in a while. And like I said, if you scrambled $3 together, you got $2 worth of games and a slice of pizza and you were good.
Dude, it was the bar scene before the bars for a lot of us. We would go to malls to meet girls from other schools. That was the coolest thing. If all of a sudden you were there with 2 of your buddies and there was a girl sitting at the other end of the fountain with 2 of her friends, and if, you'd send over an emissary. My buddy Chris thinks your friend's really cute. And then they would send back. And that's the way it worked. The person interested never went. They sent someone to test the waters. We were social in a way that I think would give kids such an anxiety attack today.
Demented and sad, but social.
Yeah.
Well, not even sad, demented and happy.
You mentioned fountains, but there were always shenanigans at the mall too. There was always that group of boys who was going up the down escalator to, and things like that. There was a lot of that kind of stuff going on.
I got thrown in the mall. My younger brother tossed me into the fountain once, and we went book it out of the mall because we were going to get tossed out.
Somebody mentioned Structure. That was my go-to in the 90s.
I like Structure. Yeah, that became limited, right? Or that was a limited company.
Was it Limited or Express? I think
they're all limited companies. I think Express is too.
Yeah.
Oh, Wilson Leathers, dude, Orbital. Yes, I can smell that store now.
I did a video on that too because my husband and I found our old leather jackets and I just like it brought back memories that just this, and even the mall itself, because something like you might have had hot dog on a stick with those girls with the big weird hats on. Remember those? It had a certain smell. It had an atmosphere, and it was experiencing things kind of like a music video. You saw, you heard, you played, you laughed, you went and looked at things that you'll never buy, but you lusted over like you would lust over people in a teen magazine. So that's kind of like that all comes together there. It's not
Radio Shack, The Gap. Mallrats was one of my favorite movies. I love Kevin Smith movies. I've met almost all of those actors. The damn magic eye bullshit bane of my existence posters that supposedly if you looked a 3D image would pop out. I was Willem. I never saw a damn thing in those. Once I came close, a dolphin started to form, but like a mirage in the desert, it disappeared and I never got close again. It's a sailboat.
My best $2 ever spent was at the mall in Spencer's Gifts. I got this little package of stink bombs, and they were in these little glass bottles, and the glass like dissolved, like whatever the material was, it would dissolve after you stepped on it.
Huh.
And I went into the movie theater and stepped on one of those in the middle of a movie, cleared the whole theater out. Didn't get in trouble for that one, but then I did it in the cafeteria at school, and I did get in trouble because somebody told on me.
Christmas at the mall, which is not today's topic, but GA Girl brought it up, and it's a good one. The mall in Rochester, Midtown Plaza, had a monorail that ran the gamut of the entire mall during Christmas, this huge section. Malls put on a show. Mm-hmm. They would decorate. They would change for the seasons. They still do to an extent. I don't understand, just like videos, a topic of this could be young celebrities aren't what they were. Music videos are gone. Even the malls here in Charlotte, which are busy, but they don't have the sense of personality that now they're just stores. It's a bunch of stores. You go in, you shop, and you leave. The experience and the personality is gone.
Mm-hmm. It was an adventure. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the best Stranger Things was season 3, I think captured it really well. I think that whole season was like centered around the mall. And they had the Scoops Ahoy was the ice cream shop. And it was all centered around the mall. And they did a really great job of capturing that again, because they would show the kids going there. And it was a whole day or a whole evening. It was an adventure. It wasn't just to go buy something at a store and roll out. Even during Christmas, when I had a little bit of money from making some money, I wanted to buy my mom like her favorite perfume from Macy's or whatever it was. I was still in there the whole day doing my little Christmas shopping where I could, and then seeing friends, and then like, oh yeah, I got to go by the arcade and play Dragon's Lair. And you were never just there in and out in 10 minutes. That wasn't what
I wasn't. We'd even plan dates around the mall. Let's go grab a bite at the food court. We'll go see a movie. Mine had a roller rink in it. It was a destination. And yes, today they're like, no kids without a chaperone. It was every bit of a babysitter for us, but we respected it as such. And I don't think we abused it. We loved the mall. Why would we abuse it? We loved being there.
Remember going to the pet store. My mall had a pet store. I mean, you could literally go, you could buy a dog, you could go to the drugstore, you could go, like you said, roller skating, to the movies, to the arcade. This was a destination vacation, a one-day destination vacation. And then you would see interesting things or make plans for what Christmas was going to be,
GA Girl says they had a meet and greet at the mall. Did you ever see I never saw a concert at the mall. I did see fashion shows at the mall. They would have those. I would see meet and greets. I'd know that there were certain celebrities coming to meet people at the mall. I never saw Tiffany or anything like that. I think New Kids, but they would. Why? Because they knew that's where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were,
Jim of all trades just brought it up.
I can't recall a single weekend that I wasn't at the mall at some point, especially once somebody had their driver's license.
Yeah.
Then it was game on. Mm-hmm. Then, whoever had the car, everybody piled in. I had a Delta 88 Oldsmobile from 1977, and we called it the Beast. It was a hand-me-down from my grandmother to my mom to me. And we could fit, you're only supposed to fit like 6 people. We fit about 12.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to the mall in that car.
Mm-hmm.
The mall was the great equalizer too. I remember going and seeing kids. So again, small town. So it was a trip to go to the mall. It's some kids, you guys grew up in the city, Baltimore. I would guess you probably could be in the mall in 5-10 minutes. For us, it was a 45-minute, 50-minute ride. And I just remember seeing kids from school that I didn't necessarily hang out with, but if you saw them at the mall, bare minimum, you could do a head nod. It was all right. It was cool because you guys were from the same school, so you guys were a pack now. It's like, yeah, you may not have been friends at school, but in the mall, when there's kids from all these other schools, you were tight. You could hang out at the arcade. It was just so damn cool. I don't think kids get how cool it was for us. You went to the mall to be seen too. Girls dressed up to go.
Oh yeah, and back then though, there weren't as many places to shop. It was like Kmart. And we had a store, Ames. I don't know, Hills.
You shopped at all the ritzy places, Ames.
Yeah. But then the mall was your next level up.
Yes.
So nobody was going to walk around Kmart. Kmart was where you went to go get your, necessary back to school shoes, your cheap shoes. But the mall was where you went to get your fashionable stuff. And so we put on airs sometimes, even dressing up, that we were fancy like the mall.
New cars displayed throughout the mall. I always wondered how the hell they got them in there. Mm-hmm. I wanted to drive the car into the mall. That would have been a cool job. Even the concept of like Mannequin, the movie, they get locked in the mall overnight in the store. That was like a wish fulfillment dream to have the run of it. And now, of course, the big joke is that Gen X, as we get into retirement, maybe we should take over one of these abandoned malls and turn them into our version of a retirement facility. One of us at 70 running Orange Julius. I finally get my belt full of quarters and I take on the arcade. Chris maybe gets behind the camera at the glamour shots. You walk through Kaufman's, or not Kaufman's anymore, Macy's, and just get assaulted by perfume smell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was Kaufman's for you too? You had a
Kaufman's? Yeah, it started out as Sibley's, which was a local company, then Kaufman's, and then Macy's.
Right, because I didn't know that, but I forgot that Kaufman's was Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio.
To be fair, when it came out of my mouth, that's what I love about this show.
Yeah,
I said it out of my mouth as if I could still go there.
Yeah,
I got taken back to 1986, and I thought of Kaufman's.
Yeah.
All right, we're at 47 minutes past the hour. How are you guys doing on malls? Last call on malls for today.
I think we could talk about it forever. So
we could, but like I said, there's nothing stopping us from bringing back a topic, and we often do. But 15 minutes at a time takes care of that short attention span we mentioned. So Chris has got me locked in today. He figured it out, supposedly. Yeah. Chris, did the conversation further cement your point of view, or think, probably not?
No, I'm confident.
All right. Yeah. Shell?
Not a clue.
Yes, no, maybe, nothing.
No, not a clue. Not a clue.
Oh, Kevin Pierpoint, you're absolutely right. I would be wearing a Rhino jersey.
See if some people get it in the...
Yeah, I'm looking through. I've got a great reveal today. So what do you think? What do young celebrity, Tiffany or Debbie Gibson at their mall tours, says Kristen West. Kevin Pierpoint says Debbie Gibson. Seeing if there's any other guesses. Schnickel Fritz for German food? That's not it.
I was going to say, like...
Kevin says it's definitely Debbie Gibson. Chris, what did you have?
Me?
Yes, sir.
I had Debbie Gibson.
Well, let's take a look.
I knew it.
So long ago.
Hey there, I'm Debbie Gibson, and I'm today's Hidden Connection on the Three View Mirror. That was fun, wasn't it? Did you guess? Did you get it?
Debbie Gibson.
Man.
Amazing.
Good job, John. That was awesome. That's a huge,
amazing.
He's a huge get, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Dude,
She looks
such a
fantastic.
great person, such an awesome person, so genuine, so kind, so grateful, so grounded. And whether you loved her music or didn't, so ridiculously talented, has written over thousands of songs, held the Guinness Book of World Records. To this day, she holds it for the youngest girl at 17 to write, produce, and sing a #1 song. For the longest time, she was the youngest person, but now she's still the youngest woman, youngest girl to do it at 17.
Wow.
Yeah, she's great.
Did not
I
know
mean,
that.
yeah, that's an awesome. I mean, I love it. That's and the fact that she's still out there doing it, and I think I told you when I knew you were going to be moderating or interviewing her at Fanboy that she's a huge animal rescue advocate. So for me, like that just puts her even higher on my list.
So Jebediah wants the connection. The easiest connection is, of course, she started writing music at 5 and was hitting the charts at 16 and 17, meeting the guideline of a young celebrity. Obviously had music videos on MTV and performed at the mall and started launching at the mall as part of the 80s mall scene. So pretty sure that's a straight connection. This was not one I was going to shout or clue up.
Hey, easy there, Ripper. You making that up now?
Well, I have to say, if Debbie Gibson, if you see this, loved you. You look amazing. I'm going to give out that personal message right there. You look absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that's a great one, man. She is, we talk a lot on here about how decades wouldn't exist in the same way without particular people. And there's a lot of pop culture that we consumed in the 80s. Some you remember, some you don't. Some was relevant, some wasn't, some was lasted longer than others, but you cannot write the story of the 80s without Debbie Gibson. You can't. I mean, not pop culture. You absolutely cannot. But I don't think people who weren't around in the 80s don't realize how massive she was.
And how hard she worked to get there, because it wasn't getting discovered on YouTube. It was sitting in your garage, laying down tracks on cassette players. She would use one and then the other and then the other, like literally cassette recorders to record her early stuff on, to make a demo tape and then try to get it to rate. We talk about living in an analog world. That was what an analog world was. There was no connection other than making the physical demo tape and physically putting it in someone's hand saying, please listen to this. Is she taller than me? She's not taller than me, but she wears heels. Oh, man. But
John wears platforms, so don't.
I do. And she was a businesswoman. Electric Youth was not just a song. It was everything. She did the scents. She sold her stuff in the mall. So that still continues to go through there. You would find her cassettes at Sam Goody. You would find her perfume possibly at Kaufman's. You would find her posters at Spencer's.
I forgot about the perfume.
Yeah.
I had
that stuff way before a lot of people did. She was way ahead of her time with that.
Now with merchandising, it totally forgot. I'm trying to picture. I got to look up the bottle.
And she's still out there doing it. That's the cool thing. Like she's still out there performing. She's still out there touring. And she, you know what? None of us know her day in and day out, but she seems happy and like legitimately, like authentically happy.
Dude, you can't fake it. You really can't. The way I see her, she has these fans. She has Deb heads and her diamonds. They're groups that have formed around her that span all ages. They're not just, the 40, 50, and 60-year-olds that grew up with her. She's still connecting to a younger generation, and you can see just how intrinsically authentic it is when she's up there talking about her life to her fans, for her fans. I personally don't think you can fake it. You might be able to once in a while for a little bit of time, not for 40 years. You can't.
Now listen, I've seen things like the just her in her car there talking about the 3-view mirror right there.
Yeah,
is absolutely evidence of that, because it wasn't, and I am the connection for this week's 3-view mirror. It was spoken with all of the love for the idea that she
I got a voicemail, her just saying, hey, John, is there anything I can do to help? I know you do these. I'd love to. And when I reminded her, she goes, well, I'm not all dolled up. I'm not all dressed up. But if you want me just to happily do, I'm in my car, I'll do it. I'm like, that's better than anything. I'd rather have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was awesome, man. That might be the coolest connection that we've had in terms of how you pulled all that together. And, you know, she gave us that really cool video.
Absolutely.
It's just what the show is all about. And whether or not we're fortunate enough to have them in person to reveal themselves or not, that's the idea. It's what it was then and who it still is now. That's why it's the 3-view mirror. 3 points of view, looking back, moving forward, living in the present. And the Debbie Gibson hat. Her fashion was iconic. But at the end of it, she'll tell you she was a Long Island kid whose one sister helped her put the music together. The other was in charge of putting her outfits together. They would practice the choreography and put the music together in her garage. Her mom took her back. That's the 80s.
Yeah. Well done, man.
So she wasn't as made as some of these other teens.
No,
and she was self-made.
Yes,
to, like you said, you know, New Kids on the Block was a made teen group, and she was her own making, and maybe that's why her genuineness actually came through both in her music and in her life.
When we say she's written thousands of songs going back to the age of 5, now would her best work have been at 5? No. But even by 12, she was legitimately putting music out, like actual music. I think that's incredible. And we talk about the talent the 80s had. I don't care if you're a metalhead. I don't care if you're a country person. I don't care if you're hip hop or rap or blues or jazz or pop. There was talent behind the music. And I'm not saying there isn't today. That's not my call. But speaking for Gen X, I can say that there was a lot of talent in the groups. They couldn't hide behind much. Eventually, they had a live concert to do, and that showed it all.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're at 56:50, so Debbie was blonde, Tiffany was redhead, never confused them, even if I wasn't a huge fan. To the point, again, don't have to be a huge fan to appreciate. I appreciated all kinds of music, regardless of whether or not it was my personal genre. I could appreciate it for what it was.
Yep.
And God knows every one of those groups had dedicated fans. Fish heads would go across the planet to see Fish. Deadheads would go anywhere to see the Grateful Dead. Kiss Army is what it is. I mean, we were dedicated. We bought the music. We hung the posters. We camped out all day or called on the phone to get the tickets. We waited for hours for Casey to get to that song on the countdown. We really, really, really supported the bands we loved in so many ways. It wasn't just playing their thing on Spotify, their song.
Mm-hmm. We didn't have playlists.
We had mixtape.
Other than a mixtape. We didn't have playlists other than a mixtape.
Right.
Wenjo says Deadhead here. Any final thoughts, guys?
Great job. Great connection. Great job. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, for the 3-view mirror, I'm Gen X Jono, John Katrides. Join us here every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and be part of our live studio audience, and you can play along. See you next time.
See ya.
Stay rad, everybody.
I think I have this ready. I never have it ready. Never. 3-view mirror outro coming up now.